Good morning. It is Motivation Monday, and I thought it would be nice for us to talk about us women. We will talk about the men as well, gathering information. Since I'm not a male, but this show is not just about women, it's about women, families, teenagers, kids, men. We touch on all subject because everything has feeling and emotion. Welcome to Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast for this Motivational Monday. How do we see ourselves? One of the things that I really appreciate is the Disney princesses. All of them teach us very valuable lessons. It's not just about being a Disney princess, but what do we take home from it? If you look on Instagram and Facebook, you'll be able to see Belle. I'm started with uh, uh, the princess from Beauty and the Beast. There's something about her. You know how smart she is. Well, upon meeting the Beast, if you follow the movie, you realize that her perception of the Beast was that she saw him. You know, us as women, we think of ourselves in one way or another. What is your perception of you? Every girl's dream is to be some kind of a princess. And that's why I tell little girls, you are a princess. What does that mean? To become and to think of yourself and grace yourself. Beauty. And no, we're not talking about outer beauty. We're talking about inner beauty. To grace yourself with dignity. To enter your rooms and people respect the fact that you show up. How do you perceive yourself? And yes, this is for the women out there. And even you gentlemen can learn something from this because you can get a new perspective on the women in your life. Your sisters, your mother, your aunties, your grandmother, your partners, the one that you will say I do to forever. So this is not just for women, but it will help you to create something, as Belle says. We think about issues of self-esteem. We think about uh, what we experience, what we object to, what our standards are, what we internalize. As you look at yourself, what is it that you have internalized? Let's think about the influence of our body image and self-esteem. You ever wonder why there's not a heavier set person eating a burger for a commercial? And why there are skinnier women who hold the burger? After all, what's the burger have to do with the girl in the bikini? Brace yourself. Your body image, it starts very early. You know, sometimes we run across on social medias uh, people that do the duck lips, and if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I want you to check it out and see how you feel about that image. There are women who need to be, as it were, told that they are beautiful. And so their perception of beauty is to each its own. But now, when we think about body images, what's your perception of a body image? You know, the Commodore sang about the brick house, you know, and what the idea would look like if she were a brick house. But did you know, when we think about our self-image, our body image, the idea of body type, we begin to self-criticize ourselves into, or in lieu of, or in comparison to the next and the next and the next. Good morning, Trish.
Good morning.
So, body image, where does it all start? You know, being an educator, I've seen it start as young as 5 years old. Because little girls are carbon copy of what their environment is. They copy what they see adults do. You see them copying their mothers or their older siblings with the makeup. They're learning early to internalize what beauty is. And then they grow up to become teenagers. And yes, they start to internalize what they want to look like. I think that every girl and every boy should have a self-imaging class. And we're going to be talking about that because it's so important. It causes stress when she can't look like somebody. They get upset because they want the body image of somebody that they saw, not knowing the realities of how that came to be. Yes, working hard on yourself, working to be better than you were yesterday is always a motto. But how about working on you just to become your best self internally? Let's go back to the girl in the bikini with the hamburger. Remember how I said, how come you don't see heavier set people as the image? Because you know what that's saying? That's not okay. Really, that is not up to the beholder. To feel good in your skin, are you motivated to be just that? Maybe you weren't born with blue eyes or green eyes. Maybe you just have simple brown eyes. Maybe you weren't born with blonde hair. Maybe you weren't born with straight hair. Would it be okay just to be you? Now, don't let it get you mind boggled because there's nothing wrong with changing your hair. I love hair. I love to see natural hair. I love to see the variation of what you do with yourself. But really, do you know what to do with yourself? Your body image, your image of yourself starts when you're that little girl who just wants to be a princess. And that's why I say everyone has a princess in them. Listen up, ladies. We started out with Belle. We will go through these princesses because the older I get, the more I start to realize there's something to it. How do we impact ourselves with the best self-esteem? If you follow the Beauty and the Beast by Disney, that's the only Beauty and the Beast I know. There are others. But seeing that movie, what I realized about Belle is that she wasn't worried about her looks. What the movie helped you to realize is that what she saw that was beautiful in her eyes, she accepted that. But did you miss the part about how she loved to read? Were you paying attention? She was a smart princess. The movie never focused on her beauty. It focused on that beast, the one that she chose, the one that nobody would have looked at. But yet here this beautiful, smart princess had insight to see not at him, but through him. Now, how do we bring that home in our own lives? The image is about here's looking at me. I want you all to say that. Here is looking at me. When we see ourselves, how do we see ourselves? Do we create anxiety about how we look? Do we create bad images of our own selves? And we will say about someone else readily, they're beautiful. Because you see, the eyes loves what is attractive. But what is your perception of attractive? I can go around the room with 10 people and they'll give me a different version. And I want you to start thinking about yourself. I want you to, when you think about yourself, how are you doing? Because your body changes. We are not doctors. I am, though, a certified professional life coach and certified counselor. How do we see ourselves? We grow up. We change from that little tiny girl to the blossoming teenager, right through womanhood and all the way through middle age, and a more matured version of us. All of that produces changes within our own bodies. How do you see it? You know, we have women that are round face, square face, tiny, taller, shorter, all versions of women. And I really want you to think this week and get motivated about how you are seeing yourself. By the way, our Facing the Mirror classes are open. It's a very intense one-on-one, and I like to do it one-on-one because I know the impact we can do it as a group. And by the way, our 1-800 number is 1-888-721-9260. Lines are open. We love for you to call in our Gmail address. Trish, what is our Gmail address?
Our Gmail address is vibetalkfacingthelion@gmail.com.
Yes. So send us your letters because many of people worry about the very subject that we're talking about. Do you find yourself judging yourself? If so, how do you want to change the way that you internalize your criticism about you, your self-perception about you? You know, because you might see something that you think is really beautiful, and yet the very eyes that you look upon may not see themselves beautiful at all. Think about that. When you internalize judging yourself, how do you feel? Trish, what's your experience when you internalize judging yourself from the inside?
Um, my experience with just internalizing judging myself is sometimes I can be very hard on myself, and I set myself with high expectations for me. And the older I got, I realized that I have to tone it down a little bit. Like, okay, I can be my worst critic sometimes, and I have to stop myself from judging myself. Like, I've been through that last night because last night I was looking in the mirror. It's crazy we're talking about this. Last night I was looking in the mirror and I was basically judging myself. I was like, I'm not used to being this size or this weight. So I was judging myself like you're not trying hard enough, or why like I look fat. That's reality. That's what I was saying to myself. So and then I had to think about, let me stop, because I've grown from that um thinking and high expectations for myself. So judging myself, um I'm still working on it, but me judging myself, it has been more of like a degradation, not like a growth thing for me. It hasn't helped me elevate myself. It makes me doubt myself. So that's where I'm at with that.
I appreciate that. And we want to hear from you guys as well. If you're getting this podcast and you see it come up in your feeds or on our page. We'd love for you to chime in. Our lines are always open. It doesn't have to be just about today. You can call in at any time and chime in at our 800 number. When we internalize things, let's think about perception, how we view ourselves, and think about self-perception. Being a photographer that I do when I'm not doing this, I like to do what is called perception shooting. Get somebody else, have them shoot the same thing that I'm shooting. Did you know, even though that we're looking at the exact same thing, when we shoot it, we see it from a different eye? Why? Because we are different, we're unique. So let us think about what affects the self perception of ourselves. You know, people think about their self worth due to their experiences. And sometimes because women have been traumatized in various ways, for example, emotional or sexual abuse, that kind of trauma can definitely create for someone difficulty that affects the self perception, the way that they see themselves. Everyone that I've worked with throughout the time of Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast and the callers and the clientels that come by appointment, they all have had different experience. How so? Some might be dealing with relationship issues while others are struggling from something else. And so all of them are factors as to how they view themselves. But now when we work on ourselves through the Vibe Talk Facing the Lion Healing Center, what we're doing is emotionally regulating how we are feeling, being able to understand the emotion and having the regulation to be able to become a stronger version of who we are. We don't stay the same. And no one wants you to feel harsh or judge yourself harshly. Because you see, by judging yourself harshly, your eyes continue to be that way, and you may, no doubt, judge others harshly. Your belief system, you are being able to self evaluate your beliefs, being able to control your life. There are some things that you're going to have to do, make decisions. That's going to take part of who you are and what you are. You know, people diet. And it's not up to others to say whether or not they should diet. I used to always think, why does a person have to diet? Why are they dieting so much? Because their perception of themselves come into play. They might think they have too much weight. They may feel not healthier. They may feel that that's the only thing that they can change about themselves. They might feel fat. They may feel that someone judged them, such as husband, boyfriend, spouse. So let's not judge dieters. You must be comfortable in your own skin, because after all, it's you that looks back at you. Going back to the woman in the burger, I was thinking about a particular commercial that had this ad. And in that commercial, there is a woman in a bikini that has a burger, and they are washing a car. So when the commercial comes on, you say, what's this about? You don't know if it's going to be about the car wash, the woman in the bikini, or the burger that's in her hand. What you don't see is that woman taking a bite of that delicious burger. Speaking of society, what if she were to take a bite of that delicious burger? Would it ruin her self-image? Would she even have thought before auditioning for that commercial, if I eat that burger, I'm going to gain this much weight? So I don't eat burgers. Whatever your choice is, this is what society has set up for you to think about yourself. That it's not okay to look a certain way. And only certain people wear bikinis. Don't you dare wear that bikini to the other women. What are we doing? Are we stereotyping each other? How do you portray yourself as the woman crowned in your own house body? How do you impact yourself? Is it a negative or a positive, or something that you feel that you need to work on more? Society expects the woman to be skinny, to be beautiful. Because after all, if you were heavier, if you didn't look like what society expected you to do, what do you think they do? They contribute to your feelings of feeling inadequate, that you aren't enough, when you simply need to tell yourself that you are enough. Speaking of that woman in the bikini, see, they've already classified her. I can think of a few names. Sexy. Whose eyes? Society's eyes. Maybe that woman that you're looking at with the burger is struggling with her self-image. Maybe nobody told her that, yes, you can be a princess. There are all kind of princesses. And that's what we learned from Disney princesses, that there are black, there are Asian queens, redhead queens are princesses, blonde hair, black American, Indian. See, these are not just Disney flicks. These are something to remind every girl and every woman that you can be just who you are and be okay with your image. Of course, wanting to work on being the best versions of yourself at that. See, here's what we teach our little girls. If you don't wear makeup, you're not beautiful. There's a lot of us who don't wear makeup. I don't wear makeup because I don't like all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that if I, per se, don't care for that. I love the color of my skin. I love my heart-shaped lips. I love my diamond eyes. And I'm okay if I don't wear makeup. People have reasons. But today's society, the makeup business is a multi-billion-dollar business because women have to have it, and the choice is yours. But society is telling you that you have to have it. Without it, you say, oh, I don't look good. Some of you overdo your makeup. And you women just look around, and I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I find humor in that. Because if you took all of that off because you had too much on in the first place, you look a lot better. I saw actually a actress, and I'm going to let her remain nameless. In her older age, my heart almost stopped because you see, society says you're beautiful if you look like this, or if you do this, say this. And I find in her older age, she accepted who she really was, and she actually looks great. I did not even recognize her because the body image that they made her out to be, she was not that person. She was covered up to be the person that society says you're okay, you can pass. If that were true, why are the stores making plus size? The BBW women, big, beautiful women, you go into Victoria's Secrets and plus size. You too can be your form of sexy. You to be, a lot of child stars will tell you that they were going through adolescence when the show was popular, and the people would come to them and stress them out. And we are talking about mental and emotional health. They would stress them out to say, you're gaining too much weight. We got to take you down, or you need to lose a few. Because if you gain too much, or if you don't have enough, you're going to let our ratings go down. Can you imagine? Can you imagine such stress? Can you imagine what that could lead to? We're going to talk about the men for a moment. How you look at women. Do you see women as objects? And women, are you seeing yourself as objects? When are you going to tire of that? When are you going to learn wellness in your mindset? Be motivated by acceptance or accepting that you are wearing you well. Because a lot of things, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again and again and again, a lot of you are uncertain about yourselves. How do I know? The way you dress tells a lot. Some of us are dressing provocatively with no reason other than we're comfortable doing that. But what is it, or who is it, that you want to attract? When you're wearing these type of clothing, what does it mean? You say, I look great in this. Because people can put on a pair of sweats and a t-shirt and just be just as beautiful, because see, that's natural. Those are women who are not afraid. And when we scantily clothe ourselves, we're uncertain. We are inferior. Because, number one, we don't have to search for attention outside of our own environment. You ever saw a woman that is beautifully clothed, and I mean dress up and not overdressed, and know that they look good? Have you ever had an outfit on and you say, I look great in this? You look in that mirror, and before anybody can tell you you look pretty, before you walk out the door, you've said it to yourself. And there is no drawback, because what you're seeing in that mirror is all you. This is another reason we do the facing the mirror, because it tells us a lot about our character. We learn to discover things that whisper to us what we really are, what our intentions really are. And I want to help women and men be intentional about their beliefs, their core beliefs, about how they want to handle certain things. You get respect as you give respect, women. I no longer will stand for to hear a man call a woman anything other than by her name. Aren't you tired of hearing music that refers to women as dogs, women as gold diggers, women who are so beaten down that they'll take anything rather than being alone or coming to a self-image class to feel better, to be their best selves? Have I said enough? We think about the women in our lives, and the first person who comes up in my mind is my mother. My mother raised me to be a lady, nothing but. And I'm so grateful for her, because I know how to be a lady. She taught us how to sit. My mom has 5 daughters, and I'm so thankful that she taught me everything that she could teach me. And even some days now, I'm 57, and my mom will talk to me about stuff, and I go, Mom, that makes me feel uncomfortable. And she laughs at me, because it's like, Mom, I'm just awkward. And it'll be about serious things that are girl things or women things, and we're just in conversation. But you see, I learned grace from her, how to take care of myself, how to bathe properly, how to, when you walk in a room, check yourself before you leave. Mother's very good about that. I can remember times when I would do something and she would say, "You're going to wear that?" And the look on her face was everything because it was my choice. I was grown. And then we're not talking about scantily clothed. We're talking about something that you could see through. Maybe somebody looking at your panties. Because my mom is real old fashioned like that, and I love her and I would not take her any other way. I love that. And the first thing she'll say, I can see straight through that. And I will, because of the look on her face, go and change it. I did that for the longest, but what was she trying to tell me? I'm a lady. If you want the men to respect you, ladies, then give them something to respect. I look at these award shows. Have you guys checked them out? What's your perception of these grown women coming, showing everything and all that too? What's your perception of that? Some of us are okay with that. But then, as I said, Belle in Beauty of the Beast, in the Beast, the realization of that movie, although it's just a Disney flick, what was her perception of other people? Some people say, I don't care what people think. But yeah, you're representing all the women. When you say something, when you're a celebrity, you are speaking for every woman in the room. And they will take your words and they will put a seal of approval because you did it or you said it. Remember that word. I want you to think about yourself presently. And I want you to imagerize a body. That would be your body. And I want you to write inside the things that you've worked on. 3 things. Because for some of you women, that's going to be very difficult. Trust me, I've tried this. And even as I speak, it was difficult. What are you working on? Connecting to yourself. You know, I hear women all the time, even in personal conversations, you know what they'll say? I really need a man in my life. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to continue by myself. Okay. Those are all fine reactions, but what are you going to offer? What do you have to offer? Think about that as you do an outline of a woman's body, maybe your body. I'm hoping it'll be your body. You don't have to be very detailed because I want you to write what 3 things do you have if you were to get that man right now. What do you have? You see, the movie never discussed Belle's beauty. Walt Disney was very smart in coming up with such a production because if you really look at the movie and you take your little girl to look at it, the movie never focused on her beauty. What it told you in the first few minutes that Belle liked to read And Belle was very given the first 5 minutes of that movie. So what it did was put a seal of approval on her to say and to speak to your daughters and yourself that it's okay to be pretty and smart, right? Just like some people say all blondes are dumb, that's not true. That's what society put on the stamp. But where is your stamp of approval that it's okay, you can be pretty? What else do you have to offer? You see people, and for the life of me, there are women who are always on social media and they're focused, they're fixing their hair and they're doing the duck lips. Be focused on getting yourself together internally. You know, it never focused the beast gazing at Belle. But yet all through the movie, it showed how she was influenced. Sometimes we see couples together and we go, he's with her or she's with him? How many of you have ever done that? I have. Anyone else?
I have.
And what was that like for you?
It was for me it was shocking. I was like, he's with her? Like, I don't understand how that's working. But like, for example, um I say that I say that about my own parents because they're so different from each other.
Yeah.
But it's like you see how they're compatible by how they connect with each other and how they just um bond with each other and things. So it's like maybe the way I'm perceiving it is, well, not maybe. The way I'm perceiving them is like, okay, that's how I see it, but they made it work. So it's their relationship.
Yeah. Because I had something very interesting. Thank you for that. I had something very interesting about my younger son. He asked me one day, Mom, how did you get with my dad? Because I just can't see that. And I said, because he was charming. If you've ever met a charming man, ladies, you know exactly what I mean. Because we are so different. And that's why we're not together now. He's still charming, but I'm a lot smarter. And I'll leave that right there. But through your own eyes, what has impacted you about yourself? Is it the way somebody else views you? I've heard comments. Believe me, I hear it all. Nothing is shocking to me. Beautiful women, men too. They're affected, but we're going to talk about them on another podcast. We want you men to understand the woman and that her outer beauty you may gaze upon. But is that all you're settling for? Because maybe you think she's the most gorgeous thing that ever walked. And when you get together, you find out that you all don't connect at all. There's a possibility that you don't. And why don't you connect? You don't connect because why? Uh-uh. You're two different versions. He's a version of himself, and you're a version of you. Maybe you don't feel that great about yourself. Maybe it was your father who never told you you were beautiful. So the men looking at you, there's been women who say, in fact, I know of a situation where the man told her how beautiful she was, and she is really pretty. And she says, I don't wear clothes that show anything off. I always wear clothes zipped up, button up, and that's okay. The reason she said that is because she was raped. You men, and we're going to talk about this. How do you perceive that woman? You say, well, she had on what she had on and she asked for it. No, she didn't. And that's why we're going to have self imagery for women and girls and guys. Because we want you to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I like myself. If you want to change your hairstyle, haircut, Trish, I tell you all the time, I love when you wear your hair the way you wear it out. Your new album version has your hair free. I love that. Embrace that part of yourself. I wear my hair short and blonde. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. Whether people like it, love it, hate it, or disgust, I don't care because I'm confident in that. But before I walk out of the door, I always make sure. And almost every time I'm out, someone always says, I love your hair. Now, does it make me more flattered? No, because I'm confident enough that I've looked at it enough to say, I like that look. I'm not telling you women don't wear makeup. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't wear nail polish. I'm simply saying to perceive yourself as the beautiful person of you. I'll be right back with Trisha's Treasures. I'll be right back. Come and wine through the feeling center, a place where we feel thrilled to heal. Where hope begins and the pain can cease. The Healing Center, your home for peace. Facing the Lion podcast. We are back and we're going straight to Trisha's Treasures. Trish?
So, have you guys like watched a runway before? On because I like watching runways. I like watching fashion shows on YouTube. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I like looking at the fashion and the women that are on the fashion show and also the men. They're all dressed in something that is totally different from the other one. Like you're looking at it and it's like so what's the theme? Like, what's the theme of the fashion show? Like, I'm confused. He's not wearing something that matched the last person. She's not wearing something that matched the last person's aesthetic of that outfit. So, as I'm looking at the runways, I realize two things. One is the difference, and also I realized the confidence in the models too. And it fascinates me because I imagine myself there, and I'm like, would I be able to do that? Just walk and model and just like be in my confidence, be in my beauty in the outfit that I'm wearing, and feel that confident, you know? Um, yeah, I always wondered, like, how would I be, you know? And I think of my perception of myself on the runway. It's like, would I feel the confident? Will I feel beautiful? Because feelings have a lot to do with how you present yourself. It's interesting because you can notice how a person feels about themselves by how they treat themselves or how they um, present themselves. You know how we talked about how when we look in the mirror, we like that outfit that we're wearing, and we're like, yeah, it looks awesome, it looks beautiful, I look good today. You know, like like nobody can tell me anything else. Like I don't feel anything less. And so when you walk out, people notice you and it's something that they would not wear. Like it's the runway. It doesn't match the theme of the next person. But they're like, that looks good on you. That looks great. And it's something totally opposite of themselves, but they see the beauty in you. Like they don't know you, but they see it. And that's how it is with when how you see yourselves. When you look at yourself in the mirror, the way you view yourself, it's very noticeable. And what's most important, something that I realize is it's what's most important is how you see yourself and how you treat yourself. And like yesterday, as I said before, when I was looking in the mirror and I was just judging myself harshly, completely. And as I'm listening to um as I'm with through with this episode today, I've been thinking about how it's how I like certain some things about me. If I look in the mirror, sometimes I look in my eyes, I'm like, I like my eyes. They look nice. And I notice the things about me when I go out in the sun, when I take a picture. My dark brown eyes, they look orange sometimes. I find that very beautiful about me. When I look in the mirror, I see my cheekbones. It runs in my family, so we have thick cheekbones and dimples, and I like that. I like that about me. Um, I love my hair. When I do my hair, it's my self care. That rhymes. When I do my hair, it's self care, and I love to do that. And it also ties in with how I view myself, how I treat myself, how I view myself, how you view you, how you treat you. It's very important because when you respect you, others will see it. Like this is the runway. This is life. When people view you, they see how you treat you, and it's like a demand, right? They see how you respect yourself, and it's like a demand, like, oh, she deserves respect. Like, she carries herself well. And it makes them think, like, who is that? Like, she's treating herself so well. She's strong. She's independent. She's smart. She carries herself very well, and that's beauty. That's what Belle was for me as a child. When I saw Beauty and the Beast, that's how she was for me. I love to read, so I'm like, oh, a princess that loves to read. Yay, we're matching, we're twinning. Okay, so I like to see that, and a princess that sees the beauty in behind the mask, the beauty behind the beast. And the most amazing thing that Walt Disney did with that production is like we talked about. They don't talk about her looks. She speaks for herself. And that's how she views herself. So I say all that to say it's important to think about how you view yourself when you look in the mirror and how you think about yourself within. What do you think you are? People ask that question in an aggressive way, but it's also something to think about. Who do you think you are? What do you think you deserve? And how do you feel about yourself?
You want to hear more from Trisha's Treasures? Go find her on our YouTube page at Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. And you want to hear more music about her? Trish, it is Queen Fire what?
You can find my music on YouTube under Queen Fire, which is QU33NFIY4, and that's also on SoundCloud.
Yeah, and she'll put the information as soon as we're done. So as our wrap up, ladies, pay attention to how you perceive yourself. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I'm going to ask you today, behold and see the princess in you and your perception. Today is all about a woman's perception of herself. Our song today is Woman by John Lennon. Have a great day, and I hope you're motivated. Give us a call in, send us your letters. We want to hear from you. We want to hear if you've been inspired, motivated, what you're working on. Talk to us. Speak up, speak out. Thank you for joining us here at Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. And to my amazing co host, thank you, Trish, very much. Have a good day, everyone, and be safe. Because I don't want your testimonial. I want you to think about. I was really about the moves that then I got the vibe with it. I really took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. Really got the vibe with it. I took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. Yeah. You can finally see a better you when you get the vibe with it. Yeah, when you get the vibe with it.